and welcome to another episode of This Is Metal with Joe Lawson. Welcome tonight, Joe, and this is going to be a real fun show. Me and Joe have been talking about doing this show for a while, and it's going to be a little different because typically when we do an episode of This Is Metal, we pick a classic metal band to kind of discuss. Today we're going to be talking about KK's Priest, so it's first time where we're kind of talking about a relatively new band. The band's just released their debut album a little over a year ago, so let's get right into it, Joe.
Right on. Yeah, this is good that we're doing this. It's a new band with some heavy hitters from Judas Priest and Cage as well. So
yeah, you know to say
a pretty interesting lineup and how the band formed, and I was kind of reading up on that and kind of researching a little bit for the show, and it sounds like quite an extensive, exhausting journey that KK went on with management and the selling of his estate and all these different things and issues that he had going on that he was trying to deal with. All the time kind of hoping that he would be asked to come back to Judas Priest. But the problem that I'm having with this is that KK wrote a letter because he was angry, and he admits that.
Yeah.
And said that he regrets doing that. Well, he wrote the band another letter and said that asked them to please disregard what he said. He was just upset and blah, blah, blah. And the band went with the first letter.
Yeah.
So they kind of just pushed him out of the situation there with that. Whatever those disagreements were financially or management-wise, and he said he wasn't happy with the band not being as tight as they used to be, and many other issues that contributed to his decision to leave the band. And then, that prompted him to form KK's Priest.
Yeah. I mean, and what's interesting is, I've had the KK's Priest CD for a while, and until we decided to do a show, I really didn't take time to listen to it. I'd heard a few songs, that they posted, the singles. And so to say that I'm surprised it sounds anything like Judas Priest, I mean, that would be an understatement because, of course, I mean, not do you just have KK from Judas Priest, you have, of course, Tim Ripper Owens, and then originally when the band first got together, you had like 3 former members of Judas Priest, because originally the drummer was Les Binks, who's the original drummer from Judas Priest, but he had some health issues, and so he was unable to do the album, and that's where they got the drummer from Cage to come in and take over for him.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did go with Sean, and it's not a personal dig or anything against Les.
Yeah.
He's a great drummer and an outstanding member of the Judas Priest lineage and history, and I understand, where that was going with that. But truth be told, I think Sean's younger and more in his prime, and I think the songs were able to take a more aggressive approach because of that. If you don't have a drummer that has stamina and dexterity and they can play his ass off like Sean, then you're kind of limited on what you can do musically.
And in fact, the drummer...
That was a pretty lucky or smart move, in my opinion, getting him.
Yeah, the drummer's name we're talking about, Sean Elg, from he's a drummer from Cage, as we said. And what's interesting about that is, over the last several years, I've interviewed Sean Peck a number of times for his many different projects, from Death Dealer to... Cage and the Three Tremors, and he was telling me pretty much the Three Tremors backing band is the Cage band, basically, and so that's the other thing in getting this guy to do KK's Priest. He's already had experience, working with Tim Owens, in the Three Tremors, and not only doing the Three Tremors records, but playing with him live. So when he comes to join KK's Priest, they've already got that chemistry.
Right, yeah, there was already a working relationship established a little bit with those two guys, and they knew each other. It's a small world, small community when you get, into that level of playing, and a lot of these guys really actually know each other, but like I said, I think pound for pound it was a trade up. And like I said, also, that's not a dig at Les Binks, man.
Yeah.
It's just my personal approach and my personal taste musically. I was glad to hear that because I knew that means that they would be able to really turn the juice up on the songs.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that KK asked Tim Owens to join, because I mean again, when this band was initially announced, you had 3/5 of three former members of Judas Priest, and so you already know it's going to be kind of Priest-like. But what was different, I think, with KK's Priest is where when Tim Owens replaced Halford and Priest, he had those. There was that huge pressure to fill those huge shoes left behind by Rob Halford, and so not only does he have to come in and when he's playing in concert with Priest, they have to play all those classic Priest songs, kind of try to do them the way Halford did, but he did those 2 albums, so he got to kind of come in, and he's not even really wasn't really even a writer in Priest. He didn't get a chance to write any of that material. That was all stuff that KK and Glenn wrote, and he was kind of just a singer. So I think with this.
The interesting thing, as far as vocal-wise, in my opinion, is the advantage that Tim had is even before he was in Judas Priest, he was in a Judas Priest tribute band. Oh. That dude's been singing Judas Priest songs for probably over 20 years.
Oh yeah.
So so it wasn't like this big hurdle of something totally different that he had to learn and do. I mean, these are songs that he's probably already known.
Yeah.
So he's just putting a new twist on him, maybe at an older age. Now he's older, and he's got to find a way to pull these songs off.
Yeah, so, and when it was announced,
Tim's a great vocalist, one of my favorites, and I think he did a good job on the album with KK's Priest as well.
Yeah, because see, the thing with the KK's Priest album is, I tell you what, I've listened to the entire thing today, and from top to bottom, and I dare say it's as good as any Priest album that came before, and that's a hard thing to do, because of course when KK's going to put out his first thing he's done since Priest, it's obviously going to be compared to Judas Priest, but I think in regards to Tim Owens' performance on the album, what's a little unique is unlike having the pressure in Priest to kind of replace Rob Halford and kind of find a way to fit in, there's not that pressure on this album. He can kind of just come in and he can develop, as he's the original singer of KK's Priest, you know what I mean? He's not filling anybody else's shoes. I mean, if he was to ever leave the band, those are going to be huge shoes for whoever is going to be the next singer, but I don't think that's going to happen, because, I mean, this is just as much his band as it is KK's, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, maybe to some extent, I think with some of the management issues.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
Side of things, I think KK probably really made sure to cross the T's and dot the I's.
Oh, yeah.
Whole situation, and he probably owns the right to everything. I would take a guess and say that is probably accurate.
Yeah, I guess what I meant to say is performance-wise, there this is a new band, so there's not that pressure to kind of like when you join.
To fill in and try and sound like someone else, right?
He can do his own thing more in KK's Priest is what he was doing before, even when he does like the Three Tremors and all these other projects he does. That's why I dig about like the Three Tremors, even because he's got kind of a little more freedom to kind of do his own thing, kind of create his voice.
Right. Now, I don't know these other two guys that are in the band. Do you know their background or anything about them? A.J. Mills on guitar and Tony Newton on bass? I
don't really know too much about these guys or how they came together. That'd be interesting to kind of learn about.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything either on that. I was curious about that. I don't know how they came into the picture. I mean, they're great musicians. Obviously maybe somebody that was recommended to them or somebody that they knew or something like that.
Now I remember when they were first announcing the band, and they came out with the first video on that, and it was announced it was going to be called KK's Priest. You had some people kind of thought that was a dig. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I mean, it's a fitting name. What do you think, or do you think they should have came up with a better name?
Well, I mean, I got mixed feelings about it. I think that KK is bitter.
Yeah.
And that's how he came up with the name, because he was angry and resentful and bitter. But I think it's an all-right name. I think it's suitable and it's fine. But it's difficult to compare these two to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When I heard it, I mean, obviously, especially the guitar work, the song structures and stuff, I totally knew, that's KK. That sounds like something KK would play, and I liked it. A couple of times in some of the songs, I was a little bit kind of bored with the slow, sad, sorrowful breakdowns. I think they kind of overdone that a little bit.
Yeah.
They did do that quite a bit. And, I mean, that's the only thing negative that I can say about it. You know, other than that, I think it was a great album.
I mean, it's full blown on.
Fantastic job on it. But
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. You know, it's like he was trying to recreate Beyond the Realms of Death. Like that's what I felt like he was doing. You know, with some of the songs.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. And you know, from a fan's point of view, hey, now we got two awesome bands. We got Judas Priest and KK's Priest. So everybody stop hating on KK and stop hating on Judas Priest, and just be grateful and glad that you can relish in both.
Yeah,
you know, maybe there's only a song or two that you like. That's fine, whatever. But you know, that's what they do. That's what they do. These guys do this for a living. They're musicians. They've done this their whole life. You know, KK's not just going to stop. He's going to continue on when he feels like it. You know, he's a human being, and he has issues and things that happen in his life, and he has his own reasons why he stepped down from Priest. And to pulverize him over that and try and punish him and say all these negative things, I think is immature, inaccurate, and childish, because you don't know what's going on in his life, his personal life, and in his head and his heart, and you don't know what's going on in the business side of things. We only know the little tiny bit of tidbits that we hear from interviews and stuff like that from the band members. So there's probably a lot that's going on that people don't really know about. So I would just say, don't jump to conclusions and just let your ears be the guide, man. Put the album on and give it a listen, you know, give it a chance.
Yeah, another thing I picked up on the album when I'm listening to today is, like, you know, Judas Priest, what they were really known for was that kind of double guitar attack of KK and Glenn Tipton. And while we do have two guitar players in the band, I think on KK's Priest, I mean, I think it's KK that's kind of doing all the soloing. I mean, this is the KK show, so that does kind of, you know, make sense. But that is kind of the one thing I picked up on.
Well, actually, AJ Mills does play a decent amount of harmonies and co-parts with KK, and you can see that even in the video. If you watch the video, pay attention, there's a solo AJ Mills plays as well, I think, in Hellfire Thunderbolt. And it sounds like in some of the other songs he's also playing, I hear two different distinctive guitar tones in there, which lead me to believe that possibly AJ played some solos on it. I'm sure KK played the majority of them. KK might have even wrote them all, just said, here, you can play this one. Yeah,
and in fact, I think that is what is different about the KK's Priest album compared to Judas Priest album, where you had like you know, Halford and Tipton and Downey writing this stuff. I think KK wrote most of these songs, you know, before he got together with the band, and so I don't know if I don't think the songs are so much a collaborative effort, but once they get together, you know, the band does their thing and everybody kind of gels and comes together. What's interesting is I don't think they've played a lot of shows yet, you know, because of all this COVID stuff, the lockdowns, different parts of the world and stuff. Now they've kind of been promoting the album like the last year it's been out, and people have been checking it out. But I'm not sure how well the album's done. But like I was surprised when you were telling me today, Joe, you were reading they're already working on a new album, which is it's cool and everything. Because I guess maybe by the time they do get out and start doing some touring, by then they'll have at least 2 albums worth of material to kind of play, you know?
Yeah, I seen that video today with KK Downing, and he said that they were working on a follow-up album already, and I was like, wow. So
yeah,
I guess that's what bands are doing now, because you know they're so limited with what you can do touring-wise now, and the whole world's in shambles financially, and the financial market's about to collapse completely on its ass. So touring would be a gigantic, foolish risk, which I understand. So I don't blame them for not touring. You know, I can definitely say that.
Yeah.
But you know, it sure is something that's missed. You know.
Yeah, and you know because you know this back in the day, like even in the early '90s, 2000s, this had come out. You know, I mean, KK's Priest would have been a prime band to like you know, being an opening band on any of those summer tours that you know you see back in the day. Any of the big bands.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, I think they got the right ingredients for something really good to happen. And I hope that they stick it out, and I hope it works for him, and I hope he's able to put out at least a couple more albums, definitely.
Yeah. And
something else I wanted to mention, did you know that KK Downing played on the song Something Weird on King Diamond's 1989 album Conspiracy?
I did not know that. Oh, wow. See, Joe?
How cool is that, huh?
Yeah, and another thing just popped in my mind as we're doing this is, a while back I'd interviewed Ross Sabas, and he was telling me, I guess, before KK started this, KK's Priest, he says, that KK had appeared with him at one of his live performances a few years back, I think at Wacken or something like that, and that was like the first time he had performed like in 10 years since he had left Priest. So I mean, that was kind of a launching pad for KK's Priest. He goes out there and he does a live performance with Ross the Boss, first time he's left, performed live anywhere in 10 years, and that's kind of what got him kind of wanting to do it again.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, Ross is a really inspiring force. He's a great guy. I had the opportunity to play a show with him and get to hang out and shoot the shit with him a little bit. And he was a great guy, man. And I can only say positive things about him.
Yeah, and what I love about Ross is, he's one of those guys that, I mean, like, again, he's got his Ross the Boss band. He's done his stuff with, Manowar. He's working with Death Dealer. He's got all kinds of things going on, and none of those two projects, sound alike, except for the fact that it's full blown on metal. But Ross is part of it. But
don't forget the Dictators.
Oh, the Dictators. Yeah, in fact, the Dictators they've now got the original drummer from Blue Oyster Cult, Albert Bouchard, and
nice.
And they put out a single not too long ago, and I think they're working towards a album. And again, for anybody who doesn't know, the Dictators are like a legendary kind of New York major punk rock band. It was huge back in the day, and they're trying to make a comeback. But again, that if you know Ross the Boss or Manowar, the Dictators sound nothing like that. But again, just all great music. You can't go wrong. And in regards to KK leaving Priest and that, I got to ask you, what do you think about the guy they got to replace him, Richie Faulkner?
Actually, I love Richie Faulkner, and I think he fits in perfectly with Judas Priest, and I was blown away by the first album that they came out with, Firepower. And I thought it was I still think it's one of their greatest albums. I think
he's a great fit, and I don't know if you know this, Joe, but oddly enough, he happens to be the son-in-law of George Lynch. He's married to George Lynch's daughter.
How about that?
Yeah.
Maybe we will see George Lynch step into Judas Priest at some point.
I mean,
I did not know that. That's interesting. How funny. We were talking about that previously. Yeah. I think when we were doing the Mr. Scary episode.
Yeah.
Mentioned that about him.
That's when
George wanted to be in Priest.
And of course,
he said he would do it if they called him. He would do it.
And of course, since then, Richie, suffered a heart attack, and and what's kind of odd about that, I mean, you just never know when it comes to anybody's health, but he's actually the youngest guy in Priest, and he's the one that had this, major, heart surgery.
Yeah, that's sad. I hope he
recovers.
Has made a full recovery and doing well.
And here's the other reason I bring up Richie Faulkner, because I don't know what you think about this. I mean, it's got some truth to it, but a lot of people kind of make the joke that, they got him because he's a KK lookalike. I mean, he does kind of have that look, but a lot of guys from that time and that that era have that kind of same British kind of rocker look.
Yeah, and I mean that makes sense that they would pick somebody like that, and his background, but I mean, most importantly, the guy's a great guitar player. You can't take that away from him or deny it. People that try and say that, they're just jealous. I mean, because all you gotta do is listen to some of the album stuff. Go on YouTube and see him playing live, acoustic and electric, and I mean, the guy's he's a great guitar player. He deserves the position, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what's interesting, and what's interesting, of course, KK's no longer in the band, and and of course, Glenn Tipton is unable to tour with them because of his Parkinson's disease. I from what I understand, they're currently working on a new album, and as far as Judas Priest, I'm talking about, and I don't necessarily know that Glenn I think he's helping with the writing, and he may play some licks on the album. But Richie's kind of the main guy now. And then when they go out on tour, they got this other guy, Andy Sneap, who he's a producer, and he's worked with Judas Priest. Since Glenn's been able to not tour with the band, he's kind of been the touring guitarist, and he's worked with Accept as far as a producer over the years. And I guess recently Priest had made an announcement that when we go back on the road this year and we put out another album or whatever we're going to do, we're only going to tour as a 4-piece, and they got a huge backlash because of that. What are your thoughts on that?
I really don't have much thoughts on that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, people are just so fickle about everything, and I just try to look at it like, life's too short. Enjoy the music that they're putting out. Enjoy and support them if you like them, and if you don't, that's fine too. But don't waste your time hating on them and being resentful and all this stuff. Like I said, there's things that happen behind the scenes that none of us know about.
Yeah.
And they're human beings. They're people, just like us. The only difference is that they have a talent and they got lucky. That's it.
Yeah, but
they had money.
And it's funny.
Money, now it's more about money than it is talent.
Well,
sorry to say, but that's the truth.
Yeah, I mean,
and so be reasonable about it. So go to the concerts and support the bands you like, and the ones you don't, then fine.
I mean, it could come down to just we now really only have 4 official members. We take this other guy out, we got to pay him too. But what's funny about all the backlash they got is Rob Halford came out after the fact and he said, what, it was kind of my silly thought to make Priest a 4-piece. He said we've always been a 5, and they kind of they've kind of gone back on their decisions. Okay, we're gonna keep this other guy. We're gonna when we go on tour, we're gonna have 2 guitar players, and since that's what the fans want, and I guess the fans got what they want. But what's funny is when they first made the announcement, Andy Sneap, who's a touring guitarist, he said, "Oh, how disappointed he was." But it's funny, that guy gets to keep his job now as a touring guitarist just because the fans kind of spoke up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you got something that's cemented in stone.
Yeah.
A legacy like Judas Priest. That's the 2 guitar player thing is such a big part of it. You really got to have that. I mean, if it was a new band, I would say, no, do what you want, 1 guitar, 2 guitar, 3 guitar. To me, the more the better. I love it. But I get it. They're trying to work things out, trying to make things practical. Again, money comes into that. Whether they say it does or not, it does. And so there might have been a variety of reasons for them to consider that,
Yeah, and just think for Andy Sneap, what a dream gig that is. I mean, that's kind of like the guy that replaced Richie Sambora and Bon Jovi. I mean, what the ultimate replacement gig that is. I mean, could you imagine having a gig that paid like that?
Yeah, that would be really something. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean
like I said, I'm grateful that we got two killer bands like this, and if you haven't checked it out, check out kkspriest.net.
Yeah.
And go online and check it out. Go on YouTube, go on whatever, Amazon or Spotify or whatever you do, and listen to it at least, and buy the physical album though. By all means, buy the vinyl or the CD. Don't be part of this cancel culture that just rips songs off of the internet for free and fucks over the artist.
I mean, I'm so with
any more of that.
I'm so with you, Joe. I mean, I'm such an old school guy. I mean, it has a lot to do with my era and when I grew up. But I mean, I used to love spending all day in the record store. I mean, I'd spend hours, checking all the new releases out and going. Even to this day, like driving to work today, I got to take my CDs to listen to on the way. I mean, it's just part of my everyday life. It's part of what I do. And just to kind of highlight this KK's Priest album, I mean, it's really not a lot of filler material. I mean, it's for a debut album, it kind of makes a huge statement. And some of my favorite tracks on here, there's a track. The second track is called Hellfire Thunderbolt, and it's just kind of a great metal track. Raise Your Fist, that's another good one. I really love the title track, which is Sermons of the Sinner.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, the opening track is kind of it's not really a song. It's kind of more of an an album intro. It's called Inauguration or something like that. But it's kind of Tim Owens kind of doing this screaming thing. But it's just a great way to open the album.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like the video that they did for that. I think some of the video stuff he has is corny. He needs to get somebody that's got a little bit better direction, sense of reality, I guess, or something. I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit corny, a little bit too far-fetched. But I mean, I love the music. For sure.
And I think part of that may be again him. Well, it's definitely the name KK's Priest. It's kind of his little dig. This is KK's Priest, and so there's going to be that comparison to Judas Priest because he was once he's founding guitar player of the band, and he's been with the band all these years. So it is going to be compared, and I tell you, I would really have been shocked if I put this album on and it sounded nothing like Priest. I mean, could you imagine? Not that there'd be anything wrong with it, but could you imagine putting this on and this is KK Does the Blues? It wouldn't exactly be what you would have been expecting,
All right. Yeah, for sure. Something interesting in 2019, Tim Owens, Les Binks, and KK played a show with David Ellison, former Megadeth bass player.
Of course, yeah.
And just a one-off show in Wolverhampton on November 3rd. So it was a set of old Judas Priest songs, and they looked like they were having a great time. I think that if the situation that happened for Dave Ellison, which led to his departure from Megadeth, if that would have happened before this show, you might have seen very well Dave Ellison being the bass player for the KK's Priest.
Yeah, who knows? He's got some other band that he's in now. I think it's called Lucid or something. I have to do some research on that. Maybe we could do an episode down the line. But yeah, he's kind of moving on and doing his thing. And I got to give David Ellison credit because he could get all bitter and be nasty and talk a bunch of trash about Dave Mustaine and all that. But he's just kind of saying it is what it is and it's time to move on. And I respect him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing, it looks like it appears that Judas Priest is being inducted into the Hall of Fame, or might be. So, previously that situation came about in 2020, and KK had hoped that he would be a part of that, which I understand both sides of it, really, because KK was such a big part of everything that Judas Priest became and established. He was a major songwriter on every album, on everything that they did.
Yeah.
So you would expect him to be a part of that. But I also understand and respect Judas Priest's decision to say, no, you're out of the band. That's it. You're not going to come do this show either.
Well,
so I don't know what KK was thinking, but at the same time, I understand him wanting to be a part of that because that was such a big part of his life too. But he's got to remember he's the one that got upset and quit the band.
Yeah, well,
the band moved on. They're not going to have him come back and play that show, confusing fans and tell Richie to send it out. What are they thinking?
Well, I do have a bit of an.
Maybe they could bring KK back and have 3 guitar players like Maiden.
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be really badass, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I could give you an update on a little bit of that, Joe. That I was just reading up, prepping for the show tonight, and there's all this stuff going about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like you said. And here's an interesting thing: it was brought up to Rob Halford, and he says, "Sure, if Priest gets in, KK will be welcome to take part in it." And that's as far as Halford and Priest are concerned. And I think it's cool to kind of have that attitude because it's good to do that for the fans because I don't think the fans would dig it too much. They said, KK, he's no longer an official member of this. They could do that. I could definitely see that. But I think the bigger issue is are they going to even get inducted into the Hall of Fame? And this is why I say that.
Right.
I've already been reading today since it was announced. They're up for it again for like the 3rd time now. Okay, forget about Priest even getting in. I mean, let's go down the line and let's talk about some of the people who were also nominated. Priest has been nominated for the 3rd time, as I said, but Dolly Parton of all people is who they're up against. Eminem, Duran Duran, I believe, is another one, and Duran Duran, I could say maybe, but Dolly Parton, I mean, she's had a huge made her mark on, pop culture and all that. She's done great movies, great music, had a huge career, but I don't know. I mean, maybe in the Country Hall of Fame, I don't know that she belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So again, just the people who get nominated, and and it looks like even Dolly Parton's ahead of Judas Priest already as far as the number of votes in that. So that's the thing. It's not that they don't deserve to get in; they definitely do. But this is like their third time, and they better go in, is kind of what I'm thinking. But if could you just imagine they get nominated 3 times and Dolly Parton goes in, but Judas Priest doesn't?
Yeah, there's so much wrong about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that it's hard to know where to start.
And then,
it's just such a shit show. I don't even know why they want to be in it.
Yeah.
Unless there's some kind of financial gain or benefit from it, I would literally look all those old snotty motherfuckers in the eye and tell them to suck my balls.
Yeah,
what's the big deal? It's the rock. For one, it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Judas Priest is a heavy metal band.
Yeah.
So who cares about being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You're a metal band, right?
Yeah, and see, here's the thing.
It kind of sends a mixed message to me. I kind of don't really dig it.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Like with that, okay, so like last year. Priest and Maiden were both up for it again, and neither one got in. You want to know who got in over those bands? Foo Fighters. Okay, Foo Fighters. One of the things is you got to be around at least 25 years. Okay, Foo Fighters, they qualify for that. But let me tell you, Judas Priest, they've been around 50 years. Maiden, they've been around maybe 40, 45 years, almost as long. But a band that's only been around 25 years, they're going to get in before these other bands. And then, I think also about 2 years ago, I think Judas Priest was also, and Thin Lizzy and all these other bands, but you know who they put in instead of Judas Priest? T-Rex. And T-Rex they're a cool band and everything, but they've sold nowhere near the amount of records Judas Priest has, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, like I said, there's so much wrong with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's hard to know where to begin with. They're a disgrace and an embarrassment. It's a metal band anyway, so like I said, unless there's some kind of financial gain from it, I would literally just tell them to shove it up their ass. I would tell them don't nominate me because I don't want to be associated with your shit organization.
Yeah, before we wrap up the show tonight. Yeah,
that's what it's about. Money's been underground and it should be underground. It's not for everyone. It's not flavor of the fucking month. It's metal.
Yeah.
So all those rich old snotty fucks that have no idea of what rock and roll even is shouldn't be even involved in something like that and determining things like that.
Yeah.
So, really, who the fuck listens to that? If you're so shallow and narrow-minded that you gotta only listen to a band that's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I feel sorry for you and your musical taste.
Yeah, and and here's the thing with that. Before we wrap the show up tonight, Joe, I want to shine a light because you and I have talked about this before. There's this other organization been around the last maybe 5-6 years they call it the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, and they do much. It is exactly what it sounds like. Like once a year they have an award ceremony. Most time I think they hold it somewhere in Los Angeles, California. But anyways, once a year they pick all like these great metal acts and they really honor them, and the people that have been around for people that really deserve to kind of get in this Heavy Metal Hall of Fame. But make no mistake about it is the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame. You do not get the Foo Fighters or Dolly Parton or anybody like that even nominated, and so I think that's something that people should start following a little more. And I think, there's a real thing for that. And other thing I wanted to you and I were talking about and prepping for the show tonight, Joe, this morning before I went to work was we did an episode not too long ago on John Schaefer. And all his legal issues, and that'll be airing soon. But before it does, I was surprised to learn that Schaefer recently re-released, I think beginning of January this year, one of his old Ice Earth albums, and And I'm going to put the information up on our This Is Metal page for people to check that. But I was really surprised that with the way YouTube and Facebook and all that is, you can go on YouTube and still find all his music on YouTube. They haven't taken any of it down, which I'm really surprised with all his legal issues and how dare him be a Donald Trump supporter in this. But I think that's kind of a good sign that he's still in jail and he's dealing with these legal issues, but he's at least able to kind of get some music out, and I'd be interested to see what he does next.
Yeah, I hope he still keeps putting out records, and if he ever needs a singer, I'd jump on the opportunity, man, because I think he's a great guy, he's a true patriot, and I love his music, and his songwriting is awesome. So I think that the guys in his band should have stuck by him instead of worrying about their own futures and careers and ditching him when he needed them the most. But that's my 2 cents for whatever it is or isn't worth. Also, if you go on KKDowning.net, the steel mill website that he has his own fragrance, his own cologne.
Oh, wow.
Metal for Men. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't know that. You know who else has a fragrance? I just found out Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of, and then
that must be the in thing now.
Yeah.
Make your own wine or your own perfume, cologne and stuff.
Yeah, and then I heard, when I interviewed Doro a couple of months back, she was telling me that that she just came out with a fragrance too. So that's pretty cool. A lot of these guys and gals are doing that.
Have you heard anything, or did you read any of the autobiography that Downing put out September 18th, 2018, called Heavy Duty Days and Nights in Judas Priest?
No, I have to get that one, but I'll tell you one that's worth. That's one I haven't got, but I still do want to get it. But I did get Halford's book, and that's quite a read, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I bet. I would be curious to read Downing because he details everything from the personality conflicts, business screw-ups, and relationships with fellow heavy metal band Iron Maiden, as well as how Judas Priest found itself in the center of a storm of parental outrage that targeted heavy metal in the 80s. And so it kind of covers a lot of different stuff that he was involved in during his time in Judas Priest. It would be an interesting read, I think.
Yeah, I bet. And so I think next time when we get together, Joe, you and I have decided we're going to be doing an episode on Testament. So I look forward to that. Anything you want to let the folks know about before you wrap it up tonight?
Like I said, don't depend on people like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to determine what music to listen to, reviews or whatever else. Give it a shot, give it a spin, listen to it, see if you like it or not yourself. And like I said, from my point of view, I think it's pretty cool that we got Judas Priest and KK's Priest, but that's just me. Oh
yeah, definitely, and the other thing I think we have to look forward with Judas Priest is once everybody's able to get back out on the road is they were supposed to go on this big massive 50th anniversary tour. That's kind of been held off, but they still plan on doing it, and I understand in the near future they're going to come out with this big kind of 50th anniversary Judas Priest book, so that's something to look forward to as well.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would for sure be awesome.
Okay, Joe, well, you take care, and I'll be talking to you, and we'll do it again next week. Take care, my friend.
All right, my brother, stay metal.
Okay, bye-bye.
Chaotic Riffs Magazine.